We will be beginning the panel discussion today. And change that happens around us takes time, and time is precious. Have you ever heard someone say, last night I read a book on diet, I woke up next morning and lost like 5 kilos? No. Change takes time. Change does take time. There's a lot of change happening around us. Technology is changing, our personal life is changing, the society is changing. So the only thing constant is change. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's face it, deep down, everyone is a little hesitant to change. So let's call upon stage the personalities who've led by example, and that's why today we address them as the champions of change. Give them a huge round of applause before I call them on stage. Come on. Beginning with first, Terence Lewis, the ace choreographer. Can I please have you on stage, sir? Mrs. Beena Banerjee, can I please have you on stage, ma'am? Mr. Dilip Tahil. Come on, keep those claps going, everyone. Keep those claps going. The energy needs to be there in the house today. Moving on, Mr. Varun Seth. Could I please have you on stage? Mr. Kapal Pansari. Could I please have you on stage? Miss Dimple Manchandani. Could you please come on stage? Come on, keep the claps going, guys. Mr. Saumitro Chakraborty. Mr. Piyush Mathur. Welcome, sir. Mr. Sanjay Narkar. Could you please come on stage? All right, ladies and gentlemen, so this is the panel for today. Give them a huge round of applause, everyone. Come on. Yep. All right, panelists, the topic for today is change, as we know. And all panelists get strictly 60 to 90 seconds to put forth their idea of change and their thought that comes to the mind when they hear the word change. Soon after that, we'll be taking a few questions from the audience over here, right? And seeing what their viewpoint is in regards to the change. So could we begin with you, sir? Please introduce yourself and begin.
A very good evening to everyone in the room and especially people on the dais. Well, I'm Saumitro Chakraborty. I happen to head a consortium of companies which works on environmental sustainability, so change does not come as an alien word to me, for example. And I would just have one simple thought on change is the fact that since the theme of the this event is on leadership, I would rather fall back upon what I assume to be one of the best thoughts coming from the father of the nation and it was said late back in 1940s, which stands relevant today, is that in a dash for cash mechanism, leaders of tomorrow will not be understood and evaluated on their financial and might and power, but they'll be evaluated by their capacity to take the communities along with themselves. So I think in those words of the great Mahatma, today, when we are running for financial might and political might, I think the levels of deliberation and culture are stooping low every day. So I think if at all we have to incubate and bring up leadership, one of the best ways is to make it sure that we get the community at large with us, and not by trolling, but maybe by more ethical standards of deliberation. So my thought on leadership would be exactly on those lines. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hi, good evening. My name is Kapal Pansari. I'm the director at Rashi Peripherals Private Limited, and we are a distribution company in the electronics space. When I say electronics is evolving at such a fast pace the technology does not last beyond 6 months or at the most 9 months. It's come to the point of challenging the physics of of our understanding. And evolution, I feel the first thing that comes to my mind for change means evolve. And evolve is a part of evolutionary trend that we've all done in our lives, right? And unless you have the lust to change or evolve, you will not really get there. And that's why the companies or an individual or an organization or in whatever form, everyone has to evolve to either survive or grow. I think that's what change is all about.
Thank you so much. Terence, before we move on to you, we have someone really special who's just joined us. As we know, the city that we live in deals with a lot of traffic during monsoon. Let's welcome with a round of applause on stage, Miss Shalmali Kolgare, the beautiful singer. Yes, please.
Good evening, everybody. Hi, I'm Terence Lewis, and I have instituted the Terence Lewis Professional Training Institute a few years ago, and amidst a sea of dance classes that were mushroomed all over, it was very important to realize that there's a big shift, a paradigm shift happening, especially with all the reality shows and all the talent hunts. No one was teaching the trainer, and we realized there was a big gap, and that was required to change. And no one was being able to change the talent into something phenomenal. They were good, but the transformation would only happen with training. So as by my philosophy, you can be good, but training makes you great. And that's when we instituted the Terence Lewis Professional Training Institute, where we took the responsibility of not just changing people, but transforming their lives. And how do we transform them? When you kind of mentor them closely, make sure they get trained correctly, and make sure you empower them with jobs too. And that's what we have done over the last 10 years. Today, our institute boasts of the maximum number of dancers and choreographers who have passed out from our institute and made successful careers both in television and otherwise. And for me, that is transformation. Change is transformation, and it has to be towards a better tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
A very good evening to all of you. I am Dimple Mirchandani, Managing Director of Aska Trading. So I am here precisely for a brand that I started. It's called Secret Dresser, which is trading of pre-owned luxury products, which, as they tag it, is breaking the market. Is the biggest change for the time, for the era, for fashion. But when I hear the word change, the first sentence that comes to my mind is always that it truly is the essence of life. Because when I look around, everything is changing every day. Every single minute, things are changing around. So, when I see my family working, what probably my father did a while back, what my brother did, they can't do it now. And what I'm doing now, probably later on, there'll be something new. So definitely, it's the true essence of life, be it, just life, or be it work, be it a leader. You need to change with the changing time. And the worst is you never know what you have to change for and how that change is going to be. I think you just have to change with whatever comes your way. So that's it. It's the essence of life.
Thank you. Come on, guys, keep the energy up. We're just about to begin the event, right? So before you, can we have a round of applause in the house? Just to know if you guys are here? Wonderful. All yours.
Well, a very good evening to you all. My name is Dalip Tahil, and I'm an actor. And very often on the screen, I play the villain. Not all the time, but sometimes. So for me, the biggest change, मेरे लिए सबसे बड़ा परिवर्तन ये है कि आज मेरे बगल में इतनी खूबसूरत स्त्री बैठी हुई है. This is a big change for me to start with. Thank you very much. Thank you. And on another note, change is a kind of a hugely all-encompassing kind of term, and as we live our lives, we continue to be a part of the change, sometimes inadvertently and sometimes we are aware of it. But I think for me, what is hugely important, particularly viewing the times that we are in and the policy of the government and the direction we might be going in, I think a commitment to change, a commitment to better our lives and the lives of those around us, for me, is hugely significant. And I always support that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Beena Banerjee here. I too am an artist, and as he says, he's got two beautiful ladies around him. But this beautiful lady, Beena, has been working with him for quite some time and has been his counterpart. Anyhow, thank you, Dilip, for telling me. Yes, change is a part of life, which you said very well. We all change every moment. And we sometimes want to accept it, sometimes we don't. But as an artist, as anyone, as a human being also, it is always better to look into ourselves and see how we can make ourselves a little better than what we were yesterday. And I feel that's life. Whether we call it political atmosphere or the society, unless we change ourselves, we can't change anything. Thank you so much for here.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Varun Sheth. I'm the co-founder of Keto. Keto is a crowdfunding platform for social causes and non-profits and ideas. We've been around since the last 5 years and have created a lot of change by raising funds for causes that matter. For me, change is progress. I think you can't progress in life if you don't want to change or you don't want to change things around you. Change is something that you should be looking to make on a daily basis to everything that you engage and interact with. And the more change that you want internally within yourself, the more change you can bring out in the society as well. I truly believe change is progress, and the more we can change, the faster we can progress, and so can the society. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Piyush Mathur. I'm the founder and managing director of Pure Beverages via Hielo Beverages India Private Limited. So while I make my humble submission towards the champions of change, I would like to kind of relate this champions, the final podium of learner and leader. So if a leader is able to communicate that change, he's able to address that in his walk of life. Towards he's in the scope of making an achievement for him or wherever. So change is very progressive, as rightly said by the gentleman. It also contributes to the right direction to society, where the immediate interaction and immediate feedback is rightly addressed, coming from a FMCG background. We don't have to wait for the reports coming later on over a fortnight or a month's time. Everything is very, very immediate. Like social media is a change into society. The kind of connection what we are trying to address through social media is a big change. The social media, the way it's getting associated with the ventures and products, I think that's a big change to society. And we welcome change for any kind of progress and growth. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sanjay Narkar, and I basically come with the experience of a technology, and that too in banking and finance for last almost 30 years, working with almost 3 startup banks at various points, and then seeing the change right from the manual days of our banking to the real-time change which is there. For me, the change is passion and to deal with challenge. The other thing which is very important, as some of my colleagues have said, is a challenge to drive the people or to become a leader, to lead the group of people who actually helps to bring the change. And that is the biggest challenge which probably, with various banks what I had served, which I have faced as a challenge to bring up the change. Because all of us, we know, as far as banking and finance industry is concerned, right from the internet banking to the mobile banking, and today we have so many innovations happening on the real-time, wallet is there, many changes. And that journey is very important. And as a leader, probably you need to keep thinking all the time of what the new change which you need to bring. So there is a passion which involves to drive the change. That's what my experience is.
Thank you so much, sir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, any questions around with any of our panelists that are from various sectors? I'm so sorry, Shalmali. Thank you so much. Here's a mic.
So I'm guessing the question was, what has changed to you? Okay. My name is Shalmali Kholgade and I'm a playback singer in Bollywood. But above all, I'm a musician. And when I think of the word change, I think it is directly proportional to me to staying motivated. I feel like every day I go on stage, I want to do something different. I want to put my best foot forward. And unless I'm open to the idea of evolving, that's one of my favorite words in the whole wide world, evolve, I don't think I can give my best to my profession and the life that I lead. That being said, there's another thought that I hold very dear to me with the word change, something my father said to me before I started living alone: this will also change. No matter how happy or sad you are, know that this will also change. Makes me feel like I want to live my life knowing that every state of mind that I am in is bound to change. And with that, I shall evolve. That is what changes to me.
Thank you so much. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we have champions from various sectors on stage right now. Any of you have any questions, please feel free, raise your hands, and I'll come right over there with the microphone. Anyone? Anyone? Okay. All right, I have a few questions. Terence, the first one to you.
Yes, sir.
In the last 2 decades, right? Evolution has changed, as we all know. How has dance evolved in the country that you see?
Let me call Darwin. Okay. Dance has pretty much evolved in a very, very big way, especially with the advent of reality shows on television. Before we had television shows that focused only on one style of dance, it was Bollywood. And when Dance India Dance came in with our show, we showcased many more styles that were there, both Indian and both international Western styles. And we showed them in true creativity what could possibly happen with those very songs that were probably choreographed in a certain way because of the certain limitation and situations that were existing. Because we were given a carte blanche, which means they gave us a song and said, you could do anything with this song. You could do anything. You could turn this amazingly erotic number into a very, very poetic dance form. And those kind of contradictions were fantastic and phenomenal. It almost challenged us to kind of really change the formula of what people had perceived and seen choreography as on the celluloid. And then finally, when they saw the show and when they saw the talent and when they saw the hard work and they saw the skill and they saw the training behind it, they realized that dance is not just a form of cheap or sometimes just a form of entertainment, but it can also become a source of education, to tell a story, and most importantly, dance can be a form of art. The biggest change that I saw was that when I tried to take up dance as a career, my parents never allowed me to take that. Firstly, because I was a boy. Secondly, because dance was not a lucrative career. Thirdly, it didn't offer provident fund and all those things. My parents were very keen on having. Where's the provident fund? LIC kidan milega? All of those jazz things, right? Those are the things which, simple-minded folks like my parents were always concerned about. And what is the future? And is there a stability in this environment? And fortunately today, you can see that every parent who is, having a child, say post 1990 or 2000, will say, son or daughter, please join the arts. Please try and kind of make a career in this if you're really talented. They're pushing their kids into singing, music, art, be it anything. The alternative career system has really had a big boom, as opposed to during our time it was only doctors and engineers. So I see that big shift. I see the respectability of this profession. I see the opportunity and the growth. And I see insane amount of talent because of the advent of YouTube. Because today, if a kid went to a class and said, oh, my teacher is the best, no longer now. Now he knows there is somebody who's far better, and his teacher might be just mediocre. So you know, the quality of education, the quality of awareness has reached such a high level that you can't fool people, that you definitely can't fool kids, because today they know more than the teachers sometimes, or they don't know, they're at least aware that somebody is better than them, or they're better than the teachers. So I really feel that there is a huge change, the paradigm shift in a lot of, because of the information being so easily accessible, because of the fact that parents are now realizing that there is a career in this art form, and many of us have become successful, so why not, you know, their own kids. So there's been a huge shift in the last 20 years, and I'm very happy that we have had this shift, because I know a lot of people who probably in the past life, or probably who are also living now, who probably didn't take up this as a career or profession, be it in any form of art or any form of, because, you know, they felt that there was no, you know, there was no choice, or there was no opportunities for them. So I'm really happy that we do not have stifled, unhappy, you know, soulless people roaming on this planet.
Right.
And we have more people who can, you know, do what they want to do. As I always believe, do what you love and love what you do.
Thank you so much. Terence, real quick, apart from Michael Jackson, who is your major inspiration in dance?
I really have no inspiration in dance.
No one?
Honestly, no, because I keep learning from my own students, because some of them are seriously, sincerely
Like when you were
talented.
possibly growing
When I
up.
was young, I know, strangely enough, I was a huge Bollywood fan, so I used to watch all of Mithunda and Govinda, and those were my moments. And of course, Michael Jackson a little later, because, you know, we didn't have access to video. We had to watch it on videos.
Absolutely,
and, you know,
VHS.
VHS. So that was not even CDs, VHS. So, well, that was the Michael
back in
Jackson
the
was
90s.
there. There was Janet Jackson, there was Paula Abdul, all of those people who came around that time, Madonna, and all of those people who were icons and who brought dance right to the forefront. Yeah, they were there, but yeah, honestly, it was the local guys who really influenced me more.
Thank you so much. Shalmali, now that you've had a lot of time thinking while you were coming here,
Yes.
right? Your major inspiration, one name?
Beyonce.
Beyonce?
All the way.
90s baby, right?
Yes, I am.
All right. I remember in the 90s, in the 2000s, even up to 2000s, right? We've had 6-minute songs, 5-minute songs. Now it's like crisp, 2.5, 3. What do you think is the change? And real quick, how would you sum it up in your industry?
Attention span. You know it, I know it, they all know it. It's the attention span.
What about the lyrics?
Of-
Is it only become hooks and choruses?
Yes and no. There's an equal bunch of songs that aren't perhaps as popular as the ones that are about hooks and less meaningful lyrics.
Sure.
But that doesn't take away from the fact that there are also really beautiful songs that have great lyrical content. Having said that, because of the shorter attention span of the listener, one is bound to just show what they've got in that song as soon as they can.
Right. Thank you so much. Dimple, how do you see your industry changing from when you've started to now?
You know, going a little back, I come from a very, I'd say, spiritual notion. I think the artists would probably understand me better, that after every day, you're not the same anymore. You know, like after every dance, there's something in you that changes, right? You may not be able to tell what, but there is, after reading every book, something changes, right? Not even a perception, something minor, but it happens. So growing up, you know, from accounting, I jumped into many degrees just to see how it felt. And every change was wonderful. Right. I just felt like I have grown into a better person.
So there were better transitions that you followed.
I wouldn't say evolving, I wouldn't say transition. It would stimulate my mind for sure, you know, something totally new to me. Right. Like from accounting to nutrition to astrology, you just name it and I've done it. But at the end of the day, it wasn't about what I was learning, but something in me changing for better, right? So when I started work, I never thought that it has to be something different or, you know, because you can't think. The more you think, the more you'll find that you're the most dumb person around, because you never know what happens tomorrow. When I was a kid, I didn't know that a phone could be so useful. You know, my family had gifted me the best phone, but it had nothing except for that green and red button. So you cannot think about it, but yes, industry every day, every single second changes. So I think you should just not see what's happening in the industry, just go with the flow.
Just go with the flow.
Yeah, and just change for the better.
Right. In the words of Bruce Lee, be water. That's what he said. Dilip sir and Beena ma'am, you guys have been in the film industry for 4 decades almost, right? The evolution that you guys have seen, I'm sure a lot of people would love to know how's your experience been in the film industry from then to now.
Yes, we have, obviously, the world is changing, we are changing every minute, as she well says. So we have seen a lot of change. I would say for the best. I would say that we have grown as an industry. Technically, we have evolved so much. And even the acting pattern that we go through, we have learned so much from taking the old, keeping the old in mind. When you see them, you understand the drama, and now we see the fast pace. So mixing and adapting both together and making a film is not very easy. It's a very difficult task for any person, any creative person who can, who hits the top, who connects to the audience, has to keep that part very much alive, that he has to remember that drama is human. You cannot go beyond that. So whether you're doing new films or old films, you're talking about drama. Drama is something that has to appeal to the public. And I feel we are changing the pattern of our makings and our thing, but drama is drama.
Thank you so much. Dilip sir, I would like to tweak that question a little bit for you. You've been the man that everyone loves to hate, literally, on screen. Not in real life, obviously. On screen, from being one of the biggest baddies in Bazigar to all over. How do you see the negative roles evolving in the film industry?
Thanks for giving me as the guy that you like to hate on the screen and not in real life. That might change, though. So, having said that, you know, there is no success, or there's no valor, there is no hero unless there is a negative force. Without any blasphemy and with all due respect, there really wouldn't be the conception that we have of Lord Rama if there wasn't a Ravan.
Absolutely.
So actually, good and evil are a counter-focus for me. And I think they play an equal part in our understanding, in our emotions. And therefore, I feel that if there isn't a strong evil force, there is actually no qualification for good. And the film industry, the Indian film industry, because our stories, they might be glossed over in terms of the presentation, but they're very deeply rooted in our books like the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. And that's where all the stories come from most of the time, and they should, because those stories are fantastic. You will always find that the negative force in our movies is extremely strong. And we produced some of the finest villains. I mean, I don't really call myself a villain because I'm a pushover as far as that is concerned. I mean, I'm a character actor. But if you looked at people like, in the old days, Jeevan Saab, or you looked at people like Pran Saab, and you looked at people like Amrish Puri ji, who I worked with a lot, you found that, and I'm sorry to be forgetting whoever the other great villains were, but you found that, you know, people hated them on the screen, but they were extremely popular in real life.
Absolutely.
So I might sort of say that, and that was a very interesting factor because I think people identified with them in a big way. So I hope that to some extent answers your question.
Thank you so much. Sanjay sir, coming to you. Do we have a microphone? Could I take that? Thank you. Right. Being the Chief Technology Officer of IDFC, which is one of the biggest public lenders in infrastructure space, and moving into banking just a few years back, how do you see that change happening? And right now, we do see a lot of news wherein there are a lot of corporate takeovers, etc., etc. As beginning of a small bank, getting into the retail footsteps, what is the change that you guys are really adopting into right now?
Well, I think, when we started this particular startup bank, the challenge was that already there were, private banks which were existing for almost 20 years. And the way in which, for all these years, if you see the banking approach is to approach to the customer, or rather open the branch, and the branch is where the customer will come for the service.
Sure.
And today, if you see the business proposition from banking perspective, if you open up a branch and if you really want to see the turnaround as far as that branch is concerned, it will almost take 2 or 3 years or maybe more years also, to get started and getting profit out of it. So what first strategy which we said is that the bank will completely focus on the digital. Second, we said that we will create our point of presence as our focus, more than going for more branches. We will give more kind of a freedom to customer with trust. In a sense, whenever he wants to bank with us, he should have a freedom of choice of how to deal with his transaction, what he wants to do, and of course the trust, which is very, very important by being a transparent. So we put our technology thought and architecture with that intention that we are not going to open more branches, but we will make the customer's life very easy from the banking
So the idea is easy accessibility for everybody.
Yeah. So today, I don't know how many, but you can go to our website and can open your saving account in some 5 or 10 minutes.
With the Aadhaar-linked facilities
Yes.
and everything available.
So
sure.
we have made that easy. We have gone with micro ATM,
right,
by which you can approach to any presence of point, and you can do everything which you can do in a branch. So
Sanjay sir, sorry to cut you off there, but I've seen you guys focus a lot towards the rural areas, mostly,
Yeah.
then the urban areas that vastly.
Yeah.
Is there a strategy in place that you guys have shifted that?
no, the first and foremost thing is that the regulators' requirement is that you need to open up more and more franchises and branches in the rural. Then probably in shift of the retail in tier 1, tier 2, you get the licenses. So that is point number 1. Point number 2 is that we actually made a study of how the business is evolving.
All right.
Number of cities, number of districts where the concentration is happening. Already the existing banks. So, expecting a share in the same pie of a cake, probably it was not our strategy.
Thank you, sir.
We decided that we'll go to the new places. We
Right.
did that study, and it was a conscious decision to go to rural first.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Varun, over to you. Being the co-founder and CEO of Kero, which is Asia's most visited crowdfunding platform with one of the most largest communities online, what was the thought behind it, and what do you think it is changing as of now?
So when we started this close to now 5 years back, our thought process was pretty simple. It was to create a third medium to raise funds, because if you look at how the financial spaces has evolved globally, currently you either can raise money via debt or via equity, debt by going to a bank, NBFC, equity by going to equity investors or doing an IPO. Our thought was, how do we create a third medium of raising funds? And the way we thought about it was, there was this huge change that was happening, or has been happening in the last few years, of millions of people in India coming online. And we thought that what if we could create an online marketplace which connects people who want to give money and with people who want to raise money. And we just remove all the other mediums and barriers of exchange of funds. And that got us to thinking in terms of how we can make this demand and supply meet over an online platform. And that's what was how the idea of Keto was born. In the last 4 years, we believe that we've seen a real change in terms of how people are transacting, how people are giving money, how people are raising money, with us raising close to 100 crores right now through crowdfunding. And as crowdfunding in itself, the model has evolved a lot in the last few years in terms of what all crowdfunding can do and can impact. Initially, crowdfunding was more focused around social causes or social projects, but in the last few years, we've seen that going all out commercial as well.
Okay, thank you so much. Piyush, real quick, the FMCG sector that you're in already has a lot of competition. What is the change that you bring in there?
See, India is flying high in all possible departments right now. That's a very, very good change. All of us as a member of the Indian society and Indian state are experiencing, and we really are happy about it. So FMCG has evolved over a period of time in many ways. So the kind of venture we have entered into is pure beverages, which is actually very, very systematically approached in extracting right from the sources, adding no adulterants to it. So if we say it's natural fruit juices, it's 100% natural, 100% organic. We've tried to restore the conventional part of it, that it's actually on a debate that how can actually we get into the old technology and retain the exact source of it. So that's the whole idea behind our venture.
All right, thank you so much. Moving on to Kapal. IT is ever changing. Everybody knows it. So tell me a little bit about the industry and the sector that you're in and the evolution from when you've started to now. Real quick to sum it up.
To sum it up, IT is everywhere. It's just that how you can use IT to enhance every individual performance here. The way I look at it, I'll give you an example for Terence here, who does dance training. The people who are training, someone has to inform them what you're doing wrong. But what matters is if you're able to show them what you're doing wrong. There's a far better impact on an individual. So they realize if your gesture is off or a little too loud, need to be reduced. By telling someone you can hear, but you don't realize how much you're doing and how much you're reducing.
Right.
And if you bring about some bit of it and you find that efficiency that you can bring about in that change. So it's no longer about I need a PC, I need to do accounting, I need to do scalability project or anything. It is everywhere. Whether it is education, in artists, in performance, anywhere, it is improvising every day, every hour, every minute.
Right. Thank you so much. Moving on to you, sir. Soumitra. Financial innovation, Finnovation is what you call it. Innovation, financial advisory. Well, finance has been really boring for a lot of people, but it interests a lot of people. With changes coming into finance, from equity to cryptocurrencies, etc., how do you see this industry moving forward? And what is the next change that you see over here?
Okay, so first of all, I would like to clear one thing. We do not do core finance advisory. So we actually deal with the impact of investments. Our major focus areas are to look at, for example, last few years have gone in order to convince the industry that you need to look at environment as a major core investment area.
Right.
Not only in terms of improving the eco-efficiency of your own value systems, but also investing upon environment. Initially, the industry was very hesitant, very, very hesitant. But now slowly, for example, people did not hear us. If I can tell you that every minute that we speak and spend here, then forest covered equivalent to 40 football fields is actually getting diminished every minute. So by the time you will end up a 1 hour session, the earth would have lost about 2.59 crore square feet of forest cover. It looks very rosy for us when we get good amount of dividends for our company. So we can talk about fundings and equity, whether or any other source. But if I tell you that this is the only generation which is unique in its proposition. So this generation is realizing the effects of climate change, but has got the last chance to do something about it. Our next generation will only have to deal with the effects of it.
Absolutely.
So, we tend to think that, so we bring finance there. So our innovation, our change is that industry has now started adapting to more eco-efficiency mechanism of operations, which not only in a long run is cost efficient, but is also saving the planet. And this is not only for novels or literatures to be discussed in academia discussions, that environment, but I am telling you today that you're already seeing change of pattern in weather in all across the country. You'll take up the case of farmer suicides, or you take up any other rural agrarian floods in Northeast. Right now, as we are sitting here, I think you'll see that finance has got dimensions now, and ignoring environment, ignoring that change which is incumbent, you're going to ignore your future at large.
All right. Thank you so much.
Right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, give them a huge round of applause. Come on, the champions of change. Wow, that clap sounds so much better. Can you keep it going on? All right. Thank you, everybody. Please have a seat. Can we clear the chairs, please?